you bring one verse from a chapter that contains 68 verses. You talk about the sickness to make a point. You try to say boldly that it's the devil, but then you misrepresent because the devil cannot bring any blessing. And yet, from the same Yahweh, in Deuteronomy 28, it's talking about it's the same Yahweh who brings the blessing and the curses and all sickness and every plague. And it's telling in which condition the blessing comes and in which condition the plagues comes. When Moses went to the Pharaoh to plead his cause, the plague came because of what reason? Because the Pharaoh wanted to keep in slavery the Israelites. So the Pharaoh was doing something bad. And Moses was warning Pharaoh, you're doing something bad. If you continue to do that, there's going to be curse. But if you turn and you let the people go that you brought to slavery, then the plagues are not going to happen. The Pharaoh decided to not obey the good advice, and he did receive the plague.
The Pharaoh failed to receive the good advice, so he received the plagues instead. Are you trying to portray this as some type of a consequence for not being able to receive good advice? I mean, wow, Jonathan, you left out the part that actually describes why the plagues were put on Egypt. It wasn't because the Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go. It was because the Lord God Yahweh hardened the Pharaoh's heart to the point that he wouldn't let them go, just as Yahweh planned it. Kind of like when Yahweh subconsciously told David to take the census, which is a sin. And when David did do that census and he had it taken because he thought it was his own thought, he thought it was his own idea, he was punished for it. And what did Yahweh do as a punishment to David for committing the sin that Yahweh had him do? He killed 70,000 innocent Israelites. And Yahweh did that basically because it was Yahweh was the one who put that thought in David's head to do it. The census wasn't David's idea. It was Yahweh's. And it's pretty much the same thing in the Pharaoh's case. He was going to let Yahweh's people go, but then Yahweh hardened his heart so he wouldn't let them go. I mean, where's all this free will I keep hearing about? Because David didn't have free will in his decision, and neither did Pharaoh. But you left all that out, so, I thought I'd just interject.
And Moses was warning Pharaoh, you're doing something bad. If you continue to do that, there's going to be curse. But if you turn and you let the people go that you brought to slavery, then the plagues are not going to happen. The Pharaoh decided to not obey the good advice, and he did receive the plague.
So for you to tell others that because the Pharaoh couldn't receive good advice, that was somehow the reason for Yahweh to commit mass murder and terrorize everybody, basically to the point that they would fear his name. That was what it was all about, Jonathan. It was a power grab. That's the fear he wanted. I mean, you be the judge. Exodus 7:1. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be the prophet. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. So why is he even saying, I will harden Pharaoh's heart? Why? But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt and bring forth my armies, and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. That's what he wanted. He wanted chaos. He wanted to be able to force his hand and bring forth his armies. He wanted to be known as somebody who does great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth mine hand upon Egypt, and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them, so did they. This was all ego for Yahweh. Exodus 9:13. And the Lord said to Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus saith the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon thine heart, and upon thine servants, and upon thy people, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite thee and thy people with pestilence, and thou shalt be cut off from the earth. And in very deed for this cause I have raised thee up, for to show in thee my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. See, it was all ego. So even though the Pharaoh was going to let his people go, he wanted to make a spectacle of it. He wanted to make a point.
I'm going to repeat again. The Lord God is capable of more wickedness and evil as the devil, even Lucifer. And also the same is able, having this mercy, to do more holy than his holiest angel. He is at the extreme of both ends, and he is everything in between. How is it that you bring Deuteronomy 28 verse 61 and you don't also be just by bringing all of the blessing coming from the same? You have to lie and you have to hide, and you're telling me that I was hiding the verses about the dogs. Well, start adding to your videos about the blessing and not just talk about the curse, so I can change the curse and to make it a blessing.
Christians often preach about a God who loves humanity, who loves them so much that he gave them the free will to willingly choose to enter into a relationship with him. They also claim that the Bible is the inspired word of God, and it paints this perfect picture of God's relationship with humanity. But if this is the case, I have a very difficult time reconciling this God that they're preaching about, this God of love, this God who promotes free will, with the God that I'm reading about in Deuteronomy 28, where God lays out his blessings for those who obey him and curses for those who disobey him. Now, right off the bat, if you tell me that God loves humanity, but he also curses humanity, I'm going to raise some questions. That's going to kind of get the wheels turning, because that doesn't seem compatible to me, that a God who loves people would curse them. But what I want to do today is I want to read through Deuteronomy 28 and deconstruct it, and then you can decide at the end of this video if the God you're being preached about in the church pews is the same God that you're reading about in the Bible.
Hold up a second here, Jonathan. Are you sure that you want to accuse me of hiding the scriptures, Deuteronomy 28? The verses that cover all the blessings that Yahweh gives, as well as the curses, because that's exactly what you're doing here. Because are you sure that it was even me that was hiding all of those blessings from everybody, Jonathan? Or could it be that maybe somebody was too sure of themselves, that they didn't need to do any of the research on the matter before they engaged their gums? Because look at what was plainly staring whoever in the face, if they were so inclined to be looking for such a thing, that is. I mean, just read the title that I put on it. That should be a giveaway right there. And it looks like it was put out there on 14 June 2024, which was 2 years ago, Jonathan. Surely you've had to run across this video in all of your searches over the past 2 years, and you never once watched it. I don't know about all that, Jonathan. Personally, I think that you did know all about this very video existing, but you were relying on the percentages that it would never show up. But here it is, Jonathan, as you requested. Here are all the curses of Deuteronomy 28 that Yahweh's going to inflict on his own people for not following all of his laws perfectly, as well as the blessings that you were asking for, the blessings that Yahweh will bring about to all those who adhere to his laws. And you know what? I think this lady did a fabulous job explaining the entirety of the chapter. And by doing so, that's opposite to what you're accusing me of doing, Jonathan. She in no way is trying to hide any of the Yahweh blessings. Not one. But you're accusing me of trying to hide all this from the people. Nice try, Jonathan. Maybe next time.
How is it that you bring Deuteronomy 28 verse 61 and you don't also be just by bringing all of the blessing coming from the same? You have to lie and you have to hide, and you're telling me that I was hiding the verses about the dogs. Well, start adding to your videos about the blessing and not just talk about the curse, so I can change the curse and to make it a blessing. How is it that you bring Deuteronomy 28 verse 61 and you don't also be just by bringing all of the blessing coming from the same?
Now, it's important to note that the backstory on this is that God has laid out the rules for the Israelites. He's basically told them, this is how you're supposed to live. This is how you are to treat others. This is how you're to deal with marriage and kids and property and slaves and all kinds of things. He's laid out a long list of rules that the Israelites must follow in order to be a part of his covenant, to be in relationship with him. So we're going to start in verse 1 of Deuteronomy 28. We're going to read through the blessings. It's about 14 verses. Let's see what God has to say for those who choose to obey him. And if you faithfully obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all of his commandments that I command you today, the Lord your God will set you high above the nations of the earth, and these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you. If you obey the voice of the Lord your God, blessed shall be you in the city, and blessed shall be you in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the increase of your herds, the young of your flock. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall be you when you come in. Blessed shall be you when you go out. The Lord will cause your enemies to rise against you to be defeated before you. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you in 7 ways. The Lord will command the blessings on you in your barns and all that you undertake, and he will bless you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. It goes on and on. The Lord will make you abound in prosperity, the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your livestock and the fruit of your ground. The Lord will open to you good treasury, the heavens, to give rain to your land and bless the work of your hands. The Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You shall go only up and not down. It says, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, being careful to do them, and if you do not turn aside from any of the words that I command you today to the right hand or to the left to go after other gods to serve them. So basically, God's just saying life is going to be really good for you. You're going to have rain for your crops. Your children will be taken care of. You will be blessed. All of the things you do, the work of your hands, I will bless everything. All you have to do is keep my extremely long list of very specific commandments that I've given you today, and you will be blessed.
Deuteronomy 28:61 is in Deuteronomy 28. In Deuteronomy 28, it's starting with how do you get blessing from Yahweh and how do you get curse from Yahweh? So you're telling the truth when you say that the curses comes all from Yahweh, but you don't want to say that the blessing also comes from Yahweh, and you don't want to explain how is it that the curse comes and how is it that the blessing comes.
But what happens to those that disobey God? what is he going to do to those who don't want to follow this long list of very specific commands? I think it's really important to note that in the section on blessings, there are 14 verses, which, it's kind of lengthy. It's a nice little chunk of text there. But in the curses for disobedience, there are 68 verses. So this is a significantly longer section, like 5 times as long. God really wants to make sure that his people know it's going to be really, really bad for you if you choose not to obey my commands, if you don't do what I said to do. Verse 15, it says, "But if you will not obey the voice of the Lord your God, or be careful to do all of his commandments and his statutes that I command you today, then all of these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall be you in the city. Cursed shall be you in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed shall be the fruit of your womb, the fruit of your ground, the increase of your herds. Cursed will be you when you come in, and cursed shall be when you go out." So it's basically just taking that kind of first paragraph from the blessings and flipping it. It's saying, I'm going to do the opposite if you disobey me. I'm going to curse all of these things that I would have, otherwise blessed. In verse 20, "The Lord will send on you curses, confusion, and frustration, and all that you undertake to do until you are destroyed and perish quickly on account of the evil of your deeds, because you have forsaken me." I just think it's important to note that it says, until you are destroyed and perish quickly on account of the evil of your deeds, because you have forsaken me. The evil deed is forsaking God. It's not being a bad person. It's not hurting other people. It's forsaking God. Because keep in mind, at the very beginning of this, it says, "If you will not obey the voice of the Lord your God, or be careful to do all of his commandments, this is what's going to happen to you." So when it says the count of your evil deeds, sure, like some of the commandments are like, don't murder. That's really nice. That could be considered an evil deed. But the core of it is you have to obey me in all of my commands. And we're going to get to that in a minute, but let's keep going. "The Lord will make the pestilence stick to you until he has consumed you off the land that you are entering to take possession of it. The Lord will strike you with wasting disease and fever, inflammation, fiery heat, and with drought, and with blight, and with mildew. The Lord will make the rain of your land powder. From heaven, dust shall come down until you are destroyed." This is getting incredibly specific. The Lord will strike you with wasting disease and fever and inflammation. That's torture. He's driving the point home. He's just making sure in this very detailed outline of what's going to happen, that you will experience extreme states of despair. 25, "The Lord will cause you to be defeated before your enemies." So he's literally going to become your enemies and overtake you. He's going to cause your enemies to rise up against you. "You shall go one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. You shall be a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth, and your dead body shall be food for all birds of the air and for beasts of the earth. There shall be no one to frighten them away. The Lord will strike you with boils of Egypt and tumors and scads and an itch which cannot be healed." Like, you're constantly going to be itching and you can't stop it. That is actual torture. "The Lord will strike you with madness and blindness, confusion of mind. You shall grope at noonday as the blind grope in the darkness. You shall not prosper in your ways. You shall only be oppressed and robbed continually, and there shall be no one to help you. You shall only be oppressed. You shall only be robbed continually. I will send people against you over and over and over again." Verse 30, "You shall betroth a wife, but another man shall ravish her." I wonder what that means. I'm not going to get into the original language here, but I'm guessing it doesn't mean anything nice. And if it happens to mean that another man is going to come take your woman by force, which that's exactly what ravish means, is to take something by force. If that's what that means, then God is sending someone out to take a woman by force as a curse on the people of Israel for doing bad things or for not obeying him. This is God not only really condoning this kind of act of assault, possibly even rape. But this is God making it happen, intentionally creating a scenario in which that happens as punishment. You shall build a house, but you shall not dwell in it. You shall plant a vineyard, but you shall not enjoy its fruit. Your ox shall be slaughtered before your eyes. You shall not eat any of it. Your donkey shall be seized before your face, but shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, but there shall be no one to help you. Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, while your eyes look on and fail with longing for them all day long, but you shall be helpless. The Lord will strike you on your knees, and grievous boils from the sole of your foot to the crown of your head. It just goes on. Going down to verse 45, all these curses shall come upon you and pursue you and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord your God to keep his commandments and his statutes that he commanded you. Again, he's driving this point that I will do this because you didn't obey me. This has nothing to do with evil deeds. The evil deed is not obeying God. It's all about obey me. Do what I said. And if you don't, this is what's going to happen. They shall be a sign and wonder against you and your offspring forever, because you did not serve the Lord with joyfulness and gladness of heart. So not only do they have to serve God and do whatever he says, but they have to be happy while they're doing it. Therefore, you shall serve your enemies, whom the Lord will send against you in hunger and thirst and nakedness, lacking everything. Verse 52, they shall besiege you in all your towns until your high and fortified walls in which you trusted come down throughout your land. They shall besiege you in all your towns throughout your land, which the Lord your God has given you.
But now, it's not about who's going to win the argument, but just to show you that you are far-fetching, and Marianne can see it. Why are you become a lawyer to defend your position that cannot stand?
53, this is where it gets really crazy. And you shall eat the fruit of your womb, the flesh of your sons and daughters, whom the Lord your God has given you, in the siege and in the distress with which your enemies shall distress you. The man who is most tender and refined among you will begrudge food to his brother, to the wife he embraces, and to the last of the children whom he has left, so that he will not give any of them any of the flesh of his children whom he is eating, because he has nothing else left in the siege and the distress in which your enemies shall distress you in all your towns. It says the most tender and refined woman among you, who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground because she is so delicate and tender, will be grudged to the husband she embraces, to her son and daughter, her afterbirth that comes out from between her feet, her children whom she bears, because lacking everything, she will eat them secretly. Verse 58, if you are not careful to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will bring on you and your offspring extraordinary afflictions. You and your offspring, your children will suffer for this too. Extraordinary afflictions, severe and lasting, sickness, grievous and lasting. Verse 63, very important to note, as the Lord took delight in doing you good and multiplying you, so the Lord will take delight in bringing ruin upon you and destroying you. And you shall be plucked off the land that you are entering to take possession of it. It just kind of wraps up in the end, just kind of reiterating the same things. I read that and I am appalled, very appalled. It's not something I think I ever read or paid attention to when I was a Christian. If I did, I probably shrugged it off. I know that there are plenty of apologists who would defend this.
Jesus made sure that he would display the same characteristic as the Father, because he said that he is the Father, but you say that Yahweh is a different entity. Yahweh is the Father, and Jesus revealed himself to share the same characteristic, even though he is the part of God that is the most uncertain.
They would find a way to justify it. People weren't serving God. God makes the rules. He gets to say how things go. And if you don't want to fall in line, well, that's just the natural consequences. Except for when God is controlling the natural world, It's not really natural consequences, is it? It's actually supernatural consequences that God has decided is necessary for those who don't obey him. He says, listen, do what I say. Follow all of my commands. I'll bless you. I'll take care of your kids. I'll take care of your livestock. I'll make sure you have rain. You'll be good to go. But if you don't follow me, I will strike you with boils. I will torture you. I will send enemies against you. I will make them take you over. I will make men come and take your wives by force. I will make sure you have no rain. I will kill all of your animals. I will make sure you starve. I will make sure you spend every single day living in complete and total misery. And I will take delight in doing that. I will make you eat your own children. I will send curses on you that turn you into such a terrible, terrible person that you would eat your own kids and you wouldn't even offer any to your wife. I don't see love in any of that. That is completely and totally and wholly incompatible with love. And when the Christians argue that, these rules that God gave them are just to make them better people, they're to promote a healthy, thriving, happy society, that by following God's commandments, the end result will be good things to come. That will be the natural result, but it's not. That's not what God is saying here. We're not talking about natural results or natural consequences. We're talking about a God who says, I am offering you an opportunity to serve me, obey me, to do whatever I say, and in return, I will give you a reward. It's not a natural consequence. It's a reward for doing what God told you to do. And on the flip side, you are punished severely for not doing what God told you to do. So it has nothing to do with being moral or setting up a happy, healthy society. And it has everything to do with glorifying God, with being his tool, his method by which he will glorify himself. That's the goal. And we can see that in the rules that he gave prior to these blessings and curses given in Deuteronomy 28, because remember, he has already set up this long list of rules spanning several books in the Old Testament, laying out the framework for how they are supposed to live. And those are the rules that they're supposed to follow in order to receive the blessings. But what are in these rules? Is it just love everyone, be kind to people, don't hurt others? Well, some. There are some rules in there that contribute to society in probably a very positive way. I would say that anytime they are being commanded to love their neighbor, to help their neighbors out, to not treat people unfairly, they are specifically speaking about their direct neighbor, the Israelites. They are not talking about anybody on the outside, because everybody on the outside was an outsider, was an enemy. So this only pertains to the Israelites. They were only to treat one another with kindness, and there were totally separate rules for people who were not of them. But even if you look at the first 4 commandments, almost half of the entire 10 commandments, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make idols. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Those things have nothing to do with how you treat others. They have nothing to do with promoting a happy, healthy society. They have nothing to do with freedom. And they have everything to do with obeying God, making God happy, not being rude about God, not taking his name in vain, not having gods before him. He doesn't want you worshiping anyone else. That's the number one most important commandment. Don't worship other gods. I am number one. You better put me first. In Leviticus, you see God giving rules for how to sacrifice animals and make these offerings to him to ask for forgiveness. That has nothing to do with how you treat people. He doesn't say go out and have this big festival of forgiving one another and coming together. No. He says make sure you gather around regularly and slaughter some animals and sacrifice them to me so that I can forgive you for the bad things that you do.
You did show 4 verses, not just 61, but 58, 59, 60, and 61. None of those talking about blessing, though. None of those talking about blessing, though.
It's not enough for this God for you to just treat other people with kindness, to ask other people for forgiveness when you do wrong, to not hurt other people. You also have to worship God. It is a requirement. It is commanded by Him that you must worship and glorify Him and do whatever He says, no matter what it is. And even if you don't agree with His rules, even if you think He's being a little too controlling about how you're supposed to wear your facial hair, that doesn't matter, because your opinions don't matter, your thoughts don't matter, your feelings don't matter. It's all about what God wants. And if God says to do it, you must do it. Now, if you do it, you'll be blessed. But if you don't do it, He's going to make sure that you really regret that. In this chapter, several times, it boils down to follow my commands, obey me. And not only that, but you better do it with a big smile. You better be happy about it. You better have a joyful attitude and heart. And you better not complain, because I said so. That's pretty controlling. It is. It doesn't, to me, that doesn't seem compatible with free will. And this really does raise a question for me about whether or not the Israelites were truly given a choice in entering into this covenant. Because you got to think about it. I mean, God is presenting this covenant. He's saying, here's all of these rules. It's going to take you a long time to memorize them. So buckle up. But here's all these rules. And if you abide by them, you're going to have really good things happen. If you don't, you're going to have really bad things happen. What do you think people are going to do in that situation if they think God is threatening to curse them with boils and incurable itches and diseases and eating their own children and their enemies rising against them and not having any rain for their crops and starving to death? What do you think those people are going to choose? Regardless of how they feel about it, I think they're probably going to say, okay, point made, I'll obey you. I'll do what you say. I will enter into this covenant. That feels like coercion to me. That doesn't feel like free will. Free will is the ability to act without the constraint of consequence or fate. The freedom to act at your own discretion. But if you have someone threatening to torture you for all the days of your life and make your existence as miserable as they possibly can, delighting in doing so, you really don't have much of a choice there, do you? Because if you want an existence where you're blessed and you don't starve to death, you're just going to do whatever God says, even if you disagree. That's not acting at your own discretion. That is not acting without the constraint of consequence or fate. If there are consequences for not wanting to enter into this covenant, for not wanting to be a part of God's people, then you're not being given the freedom to choose. You're being coerced into it. And, Christians love to make analogies of God as a father or God as a husband, the bridegroom, which I have to say that's just a really creepy thing for me to say out loud, that God is being compared to both a father and a husband. But we're not going to get into that one today. But let's flesh that analogy out a little bit. Imagine if a parent had a child and they gave this child this long list of rules. And in these rules were some about, maybe don't backtalk, clean up after yourself, treat other members of the family nicely. You might have some nice ones in there, but then alongside those rules are other rules about how they're supposed to treat their parent. You must always love me. You must worship me. You must praise me. You must ask for my forgiveness every single day. You must wear clothes that only I approve of and that I like. You have to wear your hair a certain way. You must sing my praises. You must not talk about how good other parents are. You must only focus on me and how great I am. And you must always remember that you are to obey me all the days of your life, no matter what I do, no matter what I say. You must not disagree with me. You must not stray from this. I am seeking perfection from you. Follow my commandments. If you don't, I'm going to make your life a living hell. I'm going to punish you every single day. I'm going to bring the neighborhood bullies over to bully you and make you feel really bad about yourself. I'm going to physically harm you. I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to put rashes on you and I won't cure them. I won't take you to the doctor. I'm going to starve you. I'm going to make your life a living hell if you don't obey me and do everything that I tell you to do, because I am your parent. And you will do all of this with a big smile on your face, because if you don't, there were going to be the worst imaginable consequences for you. I will make your life a living hell. You see how when you put it in the context of a father and a child, it becomes abuse. It's not kind at all. There's no reason to treat another being that way, and there's no reason for God to treat humanity this way. And I would say that if a father was doing that to their child, they're certainly not giving them any kind of freedom to be, any kind of autonomy. Should children have some supervision? Yes. Should children have guidance? Yes. Should children have rules? Yeah. But children should not be controlled. They should not be told who to be, what to be, how to dress, how to present themselves, what to believe. People deserve autonomy. But yet, for the biblical God, that's not an option. For the biblical God, it's, you must do everything I say. And it's a long list. And if you don't, I will make it insufferable for you. This is a God who is saying, as a part of this curse, I'm going to make you eat your own kids. As a part of this curse, I'm going to send men out to take your wives by force. And I'm going to delight in doing so. I mean, that's literally what he says. He says, I will delight in this. I will take great pleasure and joy in all of these things that I will do to you, including these things to your offspring. I will curse your offspring, your kids. I will make your children suffer for your crimes, and I will take delight in doing so. Is this a God who loves humanity? Is this a God who cares about free will and autonomy? Is this a God who is giving you the freedom to choose him, to willingly choose him? Or is this a God that's saying, you must obey me, you must do it gladly, even if you disagree with me, even if you don't like me, or I'm going to make it really bad for you? Is that compatible with a God who is compassionate and who loves humanity? How can we reconcile that? How can we take this God being preached about, this God of love and mercy and grace and goodness, and align him with this God that we're reading about who curses people for not doing what he wants with a smile on their face?
Jesus made sure that he would display the same characteristic as the Father, because he said that he is the Father, but you say that Yahweh is a different entity. Yahweh is the Father, and Jesus revealed himself to share the same characteristic, even though he is the part of God that is the most uncertain.
If this is not coercion, what is? How would we define coercion if this is not fitting in the definition? If there is a threat for not following God, God is not giving you the free will to follow him. And then when you slip up, things are going to be really, really bad for you. And he knows you're going to slip up over and over and over again. And he still makes you suffer. And there are so many other ways God could go about it. There are so many other ways God could have kind of enacted this system, but this is the way he chose to do it, by getting so violently angry and assaulting the people that he supposedly loves because they didn't want to obey a tyrant. So I just encourage you to read through this. If you're questioning your faith, you're really questioning this God, who this God is, his character, his intentions, read through this and ask yourself, is this compatible with a God who loves people? Why would God create people just to curse them, just to make them miserable? Is this compatible with a God of grace? Is this compatible with a God who gives free will to humanity? Is the God you're being preached about in the pews the same God that you're reading about in this chapter and in many others throughout the Bible? These are really important questions to ask yourself as you're questioning and deconstructing. And, everybody's going to come to a different conclusion. You might accept some apologetics on this, but from where I'm standing, there is no apologetic to justify this atrocious behavior by God, directly by God in the Old Testament. In the New too, I think all throughout the Bible, God is just a bad God. He's just not a good God. But here, it's just especially so. It's so blatant to see that God's only purpose in all of this is just to create a bunch of minions that want to serve and do whatever he says. He wants to control them as much as possible, tell them who to be, how to dress, how to behave, how to treat other people. He wants to be so involved in every aspect of their lives and control every little thing that they do. I don't know how we can align that with a God who gives people free will, autonomy, who allows them the freedom to be themselves, to choose him willingly, to love him willingly, when he literally says, obey my commandments, do it with a smile. If you don't, there will be hell to pay.
So I hope that I was able at least to bring a smile to your face today. Or maybe you gnashing your teeth and you're going to have to go to the dentist. But I would rather have you on board.